Shalom, my brothers and sisters in Yahuwah, our Elohim, and welcome to our Yom Revel Bible study, 4th day, midweek. I hope everybody's having a good week, gang. Here we go. We're going to finish up Melakim Bet tonight. There's 4 chapters left, but they're not very long chapters. 22 through 25. Okay? So, I'm sorry. 22 through 25. So go grab your Bibles and get comfy and get something to drink. You need to read this for yourselves so that you understand what's going on here. Because there's a lot of things that are relevant to what's happening in our world today in this study. So go grab your Bible, alright? Don't trust me just to read it to you. Don't be a passive listener. Go get your Bible. Eyes to see, ears to hear. Okay? Alright. Alright, gang. Well, this has been a great study that we've had. So let's finish it up tonight, okay? Alright. Get my eyeballs on. Ooh, I should probably clean these real quick. That's alright. You guys take your time, get your drinks, and get comfortable and stuff, and I'll clean my glasses. How about that? That way I can see. Alright. If you need to, clean your glasses too. If you wear glasses. If you don't wear glasses, that's awesome. I wish I didn't have to. But my eyes aren't as young as they used to be, so I have to. Alright. Ready? Okay. Melakim Bet, which is 2 Kings, chapter 22. Alright, here we go. Yoshiyahu was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 31 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Yedidah, the daughter of Adiah of Batkwath. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, and walked in all the ways of his father David, and did not turn aside right or left. And it came to be, in the 18th year of sovereign Yoshiyahu, that the sovereign sent Shaphan the scribe, son of Atzaliahu, son of Meshullam, to the house of Yahuwah, saying, Go up to Hilkiah, the high priest, and let him weigh the silver which has been brought into the house of Yahuwah, which the doorkeepers have gathered from the people. And let them give it into the hand of those doing the work, who are the overseers in the house of Yahuwah, and let them give it to those who are in the house of Yahuwah doing work, to strengthen the breach of the house, to carpenters, and to builders, and to stonemasons, and to buy timber and hewn stone to strengthen the house. However, let not the silver given into their hands be reckoned with them, for they are acting trustworthily. And Hilkiah the high priest said to Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the Torah in the house of Yahuwah. And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it. And Shaphan the scribe came to the sovereign, and brought word to the sovereign again, saying, Your servants have gathered the silver that was found in the house, and have given it into the hand of those who do the work, who oversee the house of Yahuwah. And Shaphan the scribe informed the sovereign, saying, Hilkiah the priest has given me a book. And Shaphan read it before the sovereign. And it came to be, when the sovereign heard the words of the book of the Torah, that he tore his garments. And the sovereign commanded Hilkiah the priest, and Ahikam son of Shaphan, and Akbor son of Micaiah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Asaiah, a servant of the sovereign, saying, Go, inquire of Yahuwah for me, for the people, and for all Yehudah, concerning the word of this book that has been found. For great is the wrath of Yahuwah that is kindled against us, because our fathers have not obeyed the words of this book, to do according to all that is written concerning us. Then Hilkiah the priest, and Ahikam, and Achbor, and Shaphan, and Asaiah, went to Hildah the prophetess, the wife of Shallum, son of Tikvah, son of Haras, keeper of the wardrobe. Now she was dwelling in Jerusalem in the second quarter, and they spoke with her. Notice, this is interesting. They were commanded to go into the temple and talk to Yah themselves. And instead of doing that, they ran over and talked to the prophetess, Hildah, the prophetess. They didn't go to Yah. They went to this prophetess instead. Interesting. That shows how they are more willing to speak to a prophetess than they are directly to Yahuwah. Very interesting. Alright. Verse 16. Thus said Yahuwah, see, I am bringing evil on this place and on its inhabitants, all the words of the book which the sovereign of Yehudah has read, because they have forsaken me, and burned incense to other mighty ones to provoke me with all the works of their hands. And so my wrath shall be kindled against this place, and not be quenched. And to the sovereign of Yehudah, who sent you to inquire of Yahuwah, say this to him, thus said Yahuwah, Elohim of Yasharel, as for the words which you have heard, because your heart was tender, and you humbled yourself before Yahuwah, when you heard what I spoke against this place, and against its inhabitants, that they would become a ruin and a curse, and did tore your garments and wept before me, I also have heard, declares Yahuwah. Therefore, see, I am gathering you to your fathers, and you shall be gathered to your burial site in peace, so that your eyes do not see all the evil I am bringing on this place. And they brought word to the sovereign. Alright, before I start into chapter 23, I need a drink. This is a long read. Alright, chapter 23. And the sovereign sent, and they gathered all the elders of Yehudah and Jerusalem to him. And the sovereign went up to the house of Yahuwah with all the men of Yehudah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests, and the prophets, and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant, which had been found in the house of Yahuwah. And the sovereign stood by the column, and made a covenant before Yahuwah, to follow Yahuwah, and to guard his commands, and his witnesses, and his laws, with all his heart, and all his being, to establish the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant. Then the sovereign commanded Hilkiah, the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the doorkeepers, to bring out of the Hakal of Yahuwah all the objects that were made for Baal, and for Asherah, and for all the hosts of heavens. And he burned them outside of Jerusalem in the field of Kidron, and took their ashes to Bethel. Here we are, back at the Kidron. Yeah, the Wadi Kidron. We're going to be crushing and burning and destroying all the garbage, the false worship items, the Asherahs, yeah, all the stone idols, all that garbage, into the Wadi. Verse 5. And he put down the black-robed priests, whom the sovereigns of Yehudah had appointed to burn incense on the high places in the cities of Yehudah, and in the places all around Jerusalem, and those who burned incense to Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the constellations, and to all the hosts of the heavens. And he brought out the Asherah from the house of Yahuwah to the Wadi Kidron outside Jerusalem, and burned it at the Wadi Kidron, and ground it to ashes, and threw its ashes on the burial sites of the sons of the people. And he broke down the houses of the male cult prostitutes that were in the house of Yahuwah, where the women wove tapestries for the Asherah. And he brought all the priests from the cities of Yehuda, and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense, from Geba to Beersheba, and broke down the high places at the gates, which were at the entrance of the gate of Yahushua, the governor of the city, which were to the left of the city gate. However, the priests of the high places did not come up to the slaughter place of Yahuwah in Jerusalem, but they ate unleavened bread among their brothers. So the priests didn't go up. Verse 10, and he defiled Topheth, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, so that no man could make his son or his daughter pass through the fire of Moloch. Good. Get rid of that scumbag Moloch. Verse 11, and he did away with the horses that the sovereigns of Yehuda had given to the sun at the entrance to the house of Yahuwah, by the room of Nathan Melech, the eunuch, that were in the court, and he burned the chariots of the sun with fire. And the slaughter places that were on the roof of the upper room of Ahaz, which the sovereigns of Yehuda had made, and the slaughter places which Manasseh had made in the two courtyards of the house of Yahuwah, the sovereign broke down, and rushed from there, and threw their dust into the Wadi Kidron. And the sovereign defiled the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the mountain of destruction, which Shalomo, sovereign of Yasharel, built for Ashtoreth, the abomination of the Tisdonians, and for Chemosh, the abomination of the Moabites, and for Milcom, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And he broke in pieces the pillars, and cut down the Asherim, and filled their places with the bones of men. And also the slaughter place that was at Bethel, and the high place which Jeroboam son of Nebat made, which he made Yasharel sin, both that slaughter place and the high place he broke down, and he burned the high place, and ground it to dust, and burned the Asherah. Then Yoshiyahu turned, and saw the burial sites that were there on the mountain, and he sent and took the bones out of the burial sites, and burned them on the slaughter place, and defiled it according to the word of Yahuwah, which the man of Elohim proclaimed, who proclaimed these words. And he said, what tombstone is this that I see? And the men of the city said to him, it is the burial site of the man of Elohim, who came from Yehuda, and proclaimed these matters which you have done against the slaughter place of Bethel. And he said, let him alone, let no one move his bones. So they left his bones alone, with the bones of the prophet who came from Shamaron. And Yoshiyahu also took away all the houses of the high places that were in the cities of Shamaron, which the sovereigns of Yasharel had made to provoke, and he did to them according to all the deeds he did in Bethel. And he slaughtered all the priests of the high places who were there on the slaughter places, and burned men's bones on them, and went back to Jerusalem. And the sovereign commanded all the people, saying, prepare the Pesach to Yahuwah, your Elohim, as it is written in this book of the covenant. Get ready, prepare the Pesach. Verse 22, for such a Pesach had not been prepared since the days of the rulers who ruled Yasharel, nor in all the days of the sovereigns of Yasharel and the sovereigns of Yehuda. But in the 18th year of sovereign Yehoshiyahu, this Pesach was prepared before Yahuwah in Jerusalem. And also Yoshiyahu put away all those who consulted mediums and spiritualists, and the household mighty ones and idols, and all the abominations that were seen in the land of Yehuda and in Jerusalem, in order to establish the word of the Torah, which were written in the book that Hilkiah the priest found in the house of Yahuwah. And before him there was no sovereign like him, who turned back to Yahuwah with all his heart, with all his being, and with all his might, according to all the Torah of Moshe, and after him none rose up like him. However, Yahuwah did not turn from the fierceness of his great wrath, with which his wrath burned against Yehuda, because of all the provocations with which Manasseh had provoked him. Shows that there's a point. It finally comes to a point where Yahuwah's long-suffering comes to an end. No longer is he going to accept anybody repenting or anything else. Once he has had enough, enough is enough, and judgment is coming. Okay? I know, that's hard, ain't it? To think that we can't turn this around here in the United States. But think about it. Think about it. How many times have we had opportunities in this country to turn it around? Revivals? Yeah. They all fell short. Look at the revival that happened after 9/11. How long did that last? Not very long. Verse 27, and Yahuwah said, even Yehuda I shall remove from my presence, as I have removed Yasharel, and I shall reject this city, Jerusalem, which I have chosen, and the house of which I said, my name is there. And the rest of the acts of Yoshiyahu, and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehuda? In his days, Parako Neko, sovereign of Mitzrayim, went up against the sovereign of Ashur to the river Euphrates, and sovereign Yoshiyahu went out to him, and he killed him at Megiddo when he saw him. And his servants conveyed his body in a chariot from Megiddo, and brought him to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own burial place. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, son of Yoshiyahu, and anointed him, and set him up to reign in his father's place. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 new moons in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hatmual, the daughter of Yeromahiyahu of Libnah. So, 3 new moons, 3 months, and he was gone. Verse 32, and he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his fathers did. And Pharaoh Necho imprisoned him at Riblah, in the land of Hamath, to keep him from reigning in Jerusalem. And he imposed on the land a fine of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold, so 7,000 pounds of silver and 72 pounds of gold. Verse 34, and Pharaoh Necho set up Eliakim, son of Yoshiyahu, to reign in the place of his father Yoshiyahu, and changed his name to Jehoiakim. And Pharaoh took Jehoahaz and went to Mitzrayim, and he died there. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and gold to Pharaoh, only he taxed the land to give silver according to the mouth of Pharaoh. He exacted the silver and gold from the people of the land, from everyone according to his assessment, to give it to Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zebdah, the daughter of Pedaiah of Ramah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his fathers did. Chapter 24. In his days Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant for 3 years, and he turned and rebelled against him. And Yahuwah sent against him raiding bands of Kasdim, and raiding bands of Aram, and raiding bands of Moab, and raiding bands of the children of Ammon. And he sent against them, against Yehudah, to destroy it, according to the word of Yahuwah, which he had spoken by his servants, the prophets. Only at the mouth of Yahuwah this came upon Yehudah, to remove them from his presence, because of the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did, and also because of the innocent blood that he shed. For he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which Yahuwah would not forgive. Think about the United States. Think about all the aborted babies. How much innocent blood has been shed in this country. Yeah, lots. Millions. Oh, yeah. Do you think that Yah's going to turn from judgment on this country? Seriously, we are toast. This country is toast. Better get ready, everyone. Better get ready. Verse 5, and the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim, and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehudah? So Jehoiakim slept with his fathers, and Jehoiakim, his son, reigned in his place. And the sovereign of Mitzrayim did not come out of his land again, for the sovereign of Babel had taken all that belonged to the sovereign of Mitzrayim, from the Wadi of Mitzrayim to the river Euphrates. Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 new moons, and his mother's name was Nehashata, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his father did. At that time the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. And Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came against the city, as his servants were besieging it. And Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehudah, and his mother, and his servants, and his heads, and his eunuchs, went out to the sovereign of Babel. And the sovereign of Babel, in the 8th year of his reign, took him prisoner. And he took from there all the treasures of the house of Yahuwah, and the treasures of the sovereign's house, and he cut in pieces all the objects of gold which Shlomo, sovereign of Yasharel, had made in the Hekal of Yahuwah, as Yahuwah had said. And he exiled all of Jerusalem, and all the officers, and all the mighty brave men, 10,000 exiles, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained, except for the poorest people of the land. And he exiled Jehoiakim to Babel, and the sovereign's mother, and the sovereign's wives, and his eunuchs, and the leading men of the land he exiled from Jerusalem to Babel. And all the mighty brave men, 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths, 1,000, all who were strong and fit for battle. These the sovereign of Babel brought to Babel into exile. And the sovereign of Babel set up Mattaniah, Jehoiakim's uncle, to reign in his place, and changed his name to Tisdakayahu. Tisdakayahu was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Yemayahu of Libnah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that Jehoiakim did, for he took place in Jerusalem and Yehudah because of the displeasure of Yahuwah, until he had cast them out from his presence. And Tisdakayahu rebelled against the sovereign of Babel. Chapter 25. A lot going on there, huh? And it came to be in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th new moon, on the 10th of the new moon, that Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, and all his army came against Jerusalem and encamped against it. And they built a siege wall against it all around. And the city was besieged until the 11th year of sovereign Tisdakayahu. By the ninth of the new moon, the scarcity of food had become so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. Then the city wall was breached, and all the men of battle fled at night by way of the gate between two walls, which was by the sovereign's garden, even though the Kasdim were still encamped all around against the city. And the sovereign went by the way of the desert plain. And the army of the Kasdim pursued the sovereign, and overtook him in the desert plain of Jericho, and all his army was scattered from him. And they seized the sovereign, and brought him up to the sovereign of Babel at Riblah, and they pronounced sentence on him. And they slew the sons of Tisdakayahu before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Tisdakayahu, and bound him with bronze shackles, and took him to Babel. And in the 5th new moon, on the 7th of the new moon, which was the 19th year of sovereign Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, Nebuzaradan, the chief of the guard, a servant of the sovereign of Babel, came to Jerusalem. And he burned the house of Yahuwah, and the house of the sovereign, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Even every great house he burned with fire. And all the army of the Kasdim who were with the chief of the guard broke down the walls of Jerusalem all around. And Nebuzaradan, the chief of the guard, took into exile the rest of the people who were left in the city, and the deserters who deserted to the sovereign of Babel, with the rest of the multitude. But the chief of the guard left some of the poor of the land as vine dressers and farmers. Yeah. Always a residual, always a residue of people. Always. 13. And the bronze columns that were in the house of Yahuwah, and the stands, and the bronze sea that were in the house of Yahuwah, and the Kasdim broke in pieces, and took their bronze away to Babel. And they took the pots, and the shovels, and the snuffers, and the ladles, and all the bronze utensils the priests used in the service. And the chief of the guard took the fire holders, and the basins, which were of solid gold and solid silver. The bronze of all these utensils was beyond measure. The 2 columns, the 1 sea, and the stands, which Shalomoah had made for the house of Yahuwah. The height of 1 column was 18 cubits, and the capital on it was of bronze. And the height of the capital was 3 cubits, and the network and pomegranates all around the capital were all of bronze. And the 2nd column was the same, with a network. And the chief of the guard took Seraiah, the the chief priest, and Stephanyahu, the second priest, and the 3 doorkeepers. And out of the city he took a certain eunuch, who was appointed over the men of battle, and 5 men of those who saw the sovereign's face, who were found in the city, and the chief scribe of the army who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land who were found in the city. And Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, took them and made them go to the sovereign of Babel at Riblah. And the sovereign of Babel struck them and put them to death at Riblah in the land of Hamath. So he exiled Yehuda from its own land. And he appointed Gedaliah, son of Ahiakam, son of Shaphan, over the people who were left in the land of Yehuda, whom Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, had left. And all the commanders of the armies, they and their men, heard that the sovereign of Babel had appointed Gedaliah, and they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah, even Yishmael, son of Nethaniah, and Johanan, son of Kerah, and Seraiah, son of Tanahumeth, the Nethanite, and Yahaz Zenayahu, son of Maacathite, they and their men. And Gedaliah swore to them and their men, and said to them, Do not be afraid of the servants of the Kasdim. Dwell in the land and serve the sovereign of Babel, and let it be well with you. And in the 7th new moon it came to be that Yishmael, son of Nethaniah, son of Elishama, of the seed of the rain, came with 10 men and struck Gedaliah, that he died, and the Yehudim and the Kasdim who were with him at Mizpah. And all the people rose up, small and great, and the commanders of the armies, and went to Mitzrayim, for they were afraid of the Kasdim. And it came to be in the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehuda, in the 12th new moon, on the 27th of the new moon, that Ewell Merodach, sovereign of Babel, in the year that he began to reign, released Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehuda, from prison, and spoke kindly to him, and set his throne above the throne of the sovereigns who were with him in Babel, and changed his prison garments, and he ate bread continually before the sovereign all the days of his life, and as his allowance, a continual allowance, was given to him from the sovereign, a quota for each day, all the days of his life. And that's the end of Melakim Bet. As you can see, there's always a remnant. That's the word I was trying to find earlier. There's always a remnant. Whether they're left behind to dress the vines and keep the gardens up or whatever, there's always a remnant. Well, gang, you know, it's hard to hear, I know. It's hard to hear. But judgment is coming down on us, the United States. It's coming down on the whole world. But I believe strongly that we are Mystery Babylon. I think that Yah has given us opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to come back to the covenant. And instead of coming back to the covenant, all that we've done is make up all of our own religions, not following in his way, but following in the religions of man, making up things as we go along, not following the word. 54,000 different denominations of what we consider Christianity, and they all have their own doctrines. Just make it up as they go. Oh, gang, this is not a religion. Spirituality is not a religion. And following the way is not a religion, it's a covenant. It's a covenant with Yahuwah. Come back to the covenant. Quit making it up as you go along. Come back to what it says in the Word. We need to. But is it too late? Is it too late? It's never too late to come back to the covenant. Might be too late to stop judgment, but it's never too late to come back to the covenant. Please, study with your children. Help your children to understand the Torah. Come back to the covenant. Come back to the understanding of Yah's word, what it says. Don't make up your own doctrine. So what it says. Read the book and do what it says to the best of your broken ability. That's all. There's no reason to be making up doctrine. There's no reason to be following man's religion. Because none of them are teaching correctly. Alright, gang. That's all I've got for tonight. I hope and I pray that y'all were able to receive fruit from Yah's word. Those that are seeking the knowledge and wisdom of Yahuwah, Baruch you. Bless you. May Yahuwah bless you, each and every one of you. His word is always fruitful. Read it. Listen to it. Study it. Alright. Well, gang, we will see you on Shabbat for our next book. Okay? Isaiah. And we will see you then. Yashayahu. Okay? And we will see you then. Y'all have a good week. Shalom.